Black sand sticks to everything. Your boots, your rifle, your skin. Even now, 20 years later, sometimes I find myself brushing at my arms like it's still there. It isn't, but I can feel it anyway. February 19th, 1945. I was a Marine, 4th Division, 20 years old, farm kid from Iowa who'd never seen the ocean until boot camp. They put us on landing craft and sent us toward a little volcanic island 8 square miles of nothing, Jima. From the ship, it looked like a pork chop. That's what the guys said. Pork chop-shaped island with a mountain at the fat end. Mount Suribachi. We'd been told the Navy and Air Force had pounded it for weeks. 74 days of bombing, they said. 3 days of naval bombardment right before we went in. Nothing could survive that, they told us. We believed them because we wanted to, because the alternative was too terrible to think about. I remember the smell of the LST, diesel fuel and sweat and coffee and vomit. Guys getting sick in their helmets, some praying, some writing last letters home, some just sitting there with that 1,000-yard stare, thinking about what was coming. Sergeant Kowalski walked down the line, checking our gear. Big Polish guy from Chicago, built like a truck. He'd been at Saipan, at Tinian, seen combat before. He looked at us green kids, and I saw something in his face. Not fear exactly, but something close to it. That scared me more than anything. Keep your heads down, he said. Stay close. Don't be a hero. I nodded like I understood. I didn't. You can't understand until you're there. The engines changed pitch. We were moving toward the beach. H hour, 0900. I checked my M1 for the 10th time. Said a prayer my mother taught me. Tried not to think about the fact that we'd been told to expect 75% casualties in the first 48 hours. The ramp was about to drop. Everything was about to change. The ramp dropped and we poured out into the water. Wasn't deep, maybe waist high, but that black sand beach was steep, like trying to run uphill through loose gravel. Every step, your feet would sink 6 inches. You'd pull one out and the other would go deeper. The first wave had already landed. I could see them trying to dig in, but you couldn't dig in that sand. It just collapsed back on itself. Guys were bunched up at the first terrace, nowhere to go. That's when I realized something was wrong. It was quiet. Too quiet. No artillery, no machine gun fire. Just the sound of our own breathing, our boots in the sand, the waves behind us. The island looked dead, blown to hell and back, smoking craters everywhere, but quiet. Keep moving, Kowalski yelled. Get off the beach. We pushed forward. 30 yards, 50. My lungs were burning from the run, the weight of the pack, the fear. Still nothing. Maybe the bombardment had worked. Maybe they were all... The world exploded. Every gun on that island opened up at once. It was like they'd been waiting, watching us bunch up, get tangled in each other, struggle in that goddamn sand. And then they just let loose. Machine guns from the caves, artillery from positions we couldn't see, mortars dropping from the sky. The sand around me erupted in geysers. Men were falling, screaming, disappearing into red mist. I threw myself flat, but there was nowhere to hide. No cover. Just open beach and that black sand that stuck to everything. Your face, your gun, mixing with blood and turning into black mud. Private DeMarco was next to me 1 second and gone the next. Direct hit from a mortar. There was just pieces. And that black sand covering everything, I crawled. Everyone was crawling. Trying to get to the terraces, to anything that might provide cover. The sand was hot, volcanic. You could feel the heat through your uniform. Kowalski was up ahead, somehow still on his feet, waving us forward. Move! 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 He was shouting, but I could barely hear him over the noise. I made it to the first terrace and pressed myself against it. My hands were shaking so bad I could barely hold my rifle. All around me, Marines were trying to return fire, but we couldn't see them. The Japanese were underground, in caves, in bunkers, invisible. We'd been on the beach maybe 10 minutes. It felt like hours, and we had the whole island still to take. They told us it would take 5 days. It took 36. 36 days of hell on 8 square miles of volcanic rock. Every yard we took, we paid for in blood. The Japanese didn't retreat, didn't surrender. They'd built the whole island into a fortress. 11 miles of tunnels, hundreds of caves, reinforced bunkers with interlocking fields of fire. You couldn't see them, but they could see you. Always watching. Waiting for you to move, to stand up, to make a mistake. Then the machine guns would open up and another Marine would go down. We had to take it all with flamethrowers and explosives. Clear every cave, every bunker, every pillbox. It was like fighting ghosts. You'd think a position was clear, move past it, and then fire would come from behind you. They had tunnels connecting everything, could pop up anywhere. The flamethrower guys, Jesus, they had the worst job on that island. Had to get close enough to spray fire into cave mouths. The Japanese knew to target them first, shoot the tanks, and they'd go up like torches. I saw 3 flamethrower operators die in one day, just burning alive in their own fuel. But it was the only way. Bullets wouldn't work. Grenades wouldn't work. You had to burn them out or seal them in. Kowalski got hit on the 4th day, sniper round through the chest. He was standing there 1 second, telling us to watch our spacing, and then he was on the ground, drowning in his own blood. Kept trying to talk, to give orders, but only bubbles came out. He died holding my hand. Squeezed it once, hard, and then just stopped. I became a sergeant that day, not because I was brave or smart or anything special, just because I was alive and had been there longest. The sulfur smell never left. The whole island stank of it. Sulfur from the volcano mixing with cordite and death and that black sand. You could taste it in your mouth, feel it in your lungs. Everything was coated in gray-black grit. We took Suribachi on the 5th day, saw the flag go up, the famous photograph everybody knows now. We cheered, thought maybe it meant something, thought maybe the worst was over. The worst wasn't over. Suribachi was just the beginning. The northern part of the island was worse. Fortified ridges, each one had to be taken yard by yard. The meat grinder, they called it. Turkey Knob, amphitheater. Every position had a name, and every name meant dead Marines. Jimmy Castelli was my best friend. Kid from Brooklyn, never stopped talking about his girl back home. Maria. Showed me her picture every damn day. He got hit by a mortar on day 12. Found him in a crater, both legs gone. He was conscious, awake, looking at me. Tell Maria, he said. You'll tell her yourself, I lied. He knew I was lying. Tell her, he said again. And then he died. I still have that picture. Never could bring myself to find Maria. What would I say? How do you explain that her boy died screaming in black sand on an island nobody back home had heard of? By week 3, we were all dead inside, walking corpses, loading weapons, firing, moving forward because that's what you did, not thinking, not feeling, just existing. The replacements kept coming. Fresh-faced kids straight from stateside hadn't seen combat. They'd look at us, the ones who'd been there since D-Day, and you could see it in their eyes. We looked like ghosts, hollow, used up. Most of them didn't last a week. There was one kid, Peterson, couldn't have been more than 18. Got assigned to my squad on day 21. Scared out of his mind, but trying to hide it. Kept asking questions. How do you know where they are? What do I do if... When should I... I cut him off. Keep your head down. Do what I say. Don't think. He died 6 hours later. Stepped on a mine. The Japanese had mined everything. The beaches, the paths, even bodies. They'd booby-trapped their own dead. You couldn't trust anything. I stopped learning their names after that. The replacements. What was the point? The nights were worse than the days somehow. At least during the day, you could see what was killing you. At night, the Japanese would infiltrate, crawl through the lines. You'd hear movement and not know if it was one of ours or theirs. We'd shoot at shadows, at sounds, at nothing. They'd scream at us in English. "Marine, you die. Tonight you die." Psychological warfare. It worked. Nobody slept. You'd close your eyes for a minute and jolt awake, sure someone was standing over you with a bayonet. The corpsmen were heroes. Navy medics running through fire to drag wounded men to safety. We lost so many of them. They wore red crosses, but the Japanese didn't care. Shot them anyway. Shot the wounded. Anything that moved. I saw a corpsman named Willis get hit trying to reach a wounded Marine. He crawled the last 20 yards with a bullet in his gut, got to the Marine, started bandaging him. Both of them died there together in a shell crater. By day 30, the island was ours, officially. But there were still Japanese in the caves, still fighting. Some of them held out for months after we declared the island secure. Came out at night to raid supplies, kill sentries. The official count was 6,821 Americans killed, nearly 20,000 wounded. On an island you could walk across in an hour. Every Marine on that island was either killed or wounded, every single one. If you came off Iwo Jima on your own feet without a scratch, you were the exception. The miracle. I wasn't the exception. Day 28. I don't know why that day specifically. Maybe it was cumulative. Maybe it was just one thing too many. But that's when something broke inside me. We were clearing a cave system near the northern airfield. Standard procedure. Call for the man with the flamethrower. Cover him while he works. Move in after. We'd done it 100 times. The flamethrower operator was a kid named Garcia, quiet Mexican kid from Texas. He stepped up to the cave mouth, aimed the nozzle, pulled the trigger. Nothing happened. The flamethrower jammed, and before Garcia could fall back, before any of us could react, the Japanese in that cave opened fire, cut him down. He fell right there at the entrance, blocking it. We couldn't leave him. Rule was you never left a man behind. Dead or alive, you brought him back. I volunteered to get him. Don't know why. Wasn't brave. Wasn't noble. I couldn't watch another body lying there. I crawled up to that cave mouth with bullets snapping past my head, grabbed Garcia's webbing and started pulling him back. He was heavy, dead weight. The black sand gave me nothing to push against. That's when I saw his face, what was left of it, and I just stopped caring, stopped feeling fear or anger or anything at all. I was pulling a dead kid through volcanic sand while other men tried to kill me, and it was all so pointless, so completely, utterly pointless. We took this island to build airfields, to bomb Japan, to end the war faster, they said. Strategic value. But standing there covered in Garcia's blood, I couldn't remember why any of it mattered. I got him back to our lines. They wrote me up for it, recommended me for a medal. Silver Star, they said, for valor. There was no valor. There was just numbness, going through motions, doing what you were supposed to do because the alternative was lying down and dying, and some stupid part of my brain wouldn't let me do that. After Garcia, I stopped talking unless I had to, stopped writing letters home, stopped thinking about after the war, about home, about anything beyond the next hour. The other Marines noticed, started giving me that look, the one we'd given men who were about to go around the bend. Maybe I had. Maybe we all had. How do you stay sane in a place designed to kill you? You don't. You just pretend. Put on the uniform, carry the rifle, follow orders. Play the part of a Marine until you can't remember what you were before. March 26th, 1945. They declared the island secured. 36 days after we landed. I walked off that beach, if you could call it walking, more like stumbling. I'd lost 30 pounds, had shrapnel in my leg, burns on my arms, and something wrong inside that no doctor could see. They shipped us back to Hawaii. Hot showers, real food, clean uniforms. They tried to make us human again. It didn't work. I'd sit in the mess hall with other survivors, and we wouldn't talk, just stared at our food. Real eggs, real meat, and none of us could eat much. Our stomachs had shrunk. But more than that, it felt wrong. Garcia wasn't eating. Jimmy wasn't eating. Kowalski wasn't eating. Why should I? They gave us 30 days leave before shipping us out for the invasion of Japan. I went home to Iowa. My mother cried when she saw me. My father shook my hand, said he was proud. My kid brother wanted to hear war stories. I couldn't tell them, couldn't explain. The words wouldn't come. I'd sit on the porch of the farmhouse looking at fields I'd worked since I was 12 and feel nothing. It was like watching a photograph of someone else's life. This peaceful place with its corn and its quiet. It wasn't real. Iwo Jima was real. The sulfur and the screaming and the black sand, that was real. Everything else was just pretend. The atomic bombs dropped while I was home. August 6th and 9th, Japan surrendered. The war was over. Everyone was celebrating, dancing in the streets, kissing strangers. The boys were coming home. I felt nothing. They told us afterwards that Iwo Jima saved lives, that the airfields we took saved thousands of B-29 crew members who used them for emergency landings, that it was worth it, strategic necessity. Maybe it was. Maybe all those men, 6,821 dead, 20,000 wounded, maybe they died for something important. But I still have Maria's picture in my wallet. Still wake up smelling sulfur. Still see Garcia's face when I close my eyes. I got married in 1947. Good woman, patient. She doesn't ask about the war anymore. Used to early on, but I couldn't talk about it. Still can't. How do you explain to someone who wasn't there? How do you make them understand what it's like to stop being human? We have kids now, 3 of them. I watch them play in the yard, and I'm grateful they'll never know. Never have to dig a foxhole in volcanic sand. Never have to pull their best friend's body out of the mud. But sometimes my son asks why I don't go to the beach. We live in California now, ocean right there. And I won't go. Can't. The sand. Even regular sand. Golden California sand. I can't touch it. Can't stand the feel of it. My daughter found my medals in a drawer once. Asked me about them. The Silver Star, the Purple Heart. Asked if I was a hero. I told her no. There were no heroes on Iwo Jima. Just kids killing other kids over 8 square miles of nothing. The heroes are the ones who didn't come back. The ones buried in that black sand. They don't have to live with it. Don't have to wake up 20 years later still fighting a battle that's long over. I came home from Iwo Jima in 1945. My body did anyway. The rest of me, the part that mattered, that's still there. Still trying to pull Garcia back from that cave. Still watching Jimmy die. Still feeling that black sand between my fingers. They say time heals all wounds. They're wrong. Some wounds don't heal. They just become part of who you are. You build your life around them. Work around them. Pretend they're not there. But they are. Always. 20 years later. And I still brush at my arms. Still feel that sand that isn't there. Still hear the screaming. We took that island. Raised the flag. Won the battle. But Iwo Jima won the war inside us. Won it completely. And we never came home. Not really. We're still there.